Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the No Beefs Just Meats segment of the Angry Advocate podcast. I am Ash, the owner of Angry Ginger Photography. For this episode, we were joined by Bor, a band traveling had a very long drive from Long Island, Queens area. This episode has already gone out, so they've already played with Bag, No More Youth, Jealous Mind, and TFR. That was put on by Killing It Entertainment Shows and Abyssal Reservations at Bad Brgr, of course. We had a great episode talking about just New England bands, yes, but going back to where I'm originally from, which is New York, getting to talk about different Long Island venues, getting to talk about just different experiences of that. Had a great time talking to the guys. We had the great experience to have it a little bit earlier than show and not during load in right now. So we're gonna hop in later to have a great show tonight, and we're about to hop into the episode now. So thank you for your time and hope you enjoyed the episode. Hi guys, today we are joined with Bor. They are traveling all the way from mostly Long Island, New York, and partially Queens to play Bad Brgr tonight. How are we all doing?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. How was the trip up?
It said that it was going to be 4 hours. We planned for 4 hours, but then we forgot that we can't bring trailers on the parkways. So 4 hours turned into like 7.5.
Holy cow, that's insane.
Yep, we got here. Dave Buster's was very welcoming to us.
That's awesome. Yeah, waking up to snow, like, what is ridiculous this morning.
Yeah.
But it's, New England, New York is pretty much the same, like, as part of that and everything.
Not in the past couple of years. Like, it's New York, snow has been like kind of spotty.
Oh.
We get like little periods of slush, but then like that's it.
Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, like me growing up there, like it was wicked bad and everything. So when I got here, I was like, oh, this is like not as bad and such. But I have noticed like being this high in New Hampshire, I definitely get hit worse than like my sister got.
Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. So hopping into question one, how long has Bor been a band, and how long have each of you been playing music?
We started about 5 or 6 years ago.
2018, August 2018.
Yeah.
It's actually August 1st, 2018 was our first full band practice. So it's going to be going on 7 years.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, all varied capacities, been playing music our entire lives together. Though him, Brandon, and Sid used to be in a band called Mutiny Abroad, and we became friends because I used to just see their band around time. Then I was going to take their guitar player's place. Their guitar player ended up staying. Mutiny ended up breaking up like immediately after that. Then he called me to start a band, and that's
a very delicate way of saying our band imploded, and I lost my mind and got drunk out of my mind and called him, I'm not done playing music. We're doing hardcore music. Let's go. And then that's kind of how this started.
2 months later, he messages me. Fuck, I guess
What happened?
I still remember the phone call. I was moving into a new apartment, and I was like putting shit away. And he calls me. He's like, I just quit Mutiny. I'm done. You want to start a band? I'm like, yeah, man, I guess. Can I go back to putting my furniture together? Pick it up later.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then, if starting in 2018, how did like going through COVID and everything affect you as a band? Like
that was actually kind of a blessing. So our original drummer we were working with, and right before the pandemic happened, we had just recorded our first EP, I believe, and we were set to go on tour with our friends in Under the Pier from Baltimore. And our drummer, we had issues, and he left, and we were kind of scrambling because we didn't want to cancel this tour. It was going to be the first thing we were doing. We were looking for people to fill in, and then the world shuts down. And at first we were like, oh shit, like, what are we going to do? And then randomly we ran into our second drummer, who that time with COVID gave us time to like kind of hone in what Bor will eventually have like molded into. And it gave us time to like really work together as musicians and write songs, which are a lot of songs that are now going to be released at the end of this year. So like you're talking about years of like writing all this stuff.
Yeah, I feel like pre-COVID we were just hardcore band that just had like regular songs, if that makes any sense. But then after, like during COVID, we started like 5 hours a day locking ourselves in the rehearsal space and really just like turning into a band.
Yeah.
So it definitely saved our ass.
Yeah, it was one of the probably only times you could say that COVID was like a good thing, you know.
I mean,
I think helped.
I had a great COVID, dude.
I
I didn't leave my apartment for like 3-4 weeks at a time. I didn't have to talk to anybody. It was just great.
I'm camping.
Meanwhile, there's like people dying outside of everywhere.
Awesome. So hopping into question 2, can you tell us more about the weekend run that you're currently doing?
It started in Brooklyn. We were trying to do the weekend straight through, but unfortunately we kind of like waited a little too long for the deadline. So we did Thursday in Brooklyn with a band from Seattle called Yellfire, like great, like post-hardcore scrams type of stuff. Fashion Week, who's just like a sick New York City like based like a noise rock band, kind of like a little bit more akin to like Jesus Lizard type of stuff. Don't Grow Old, which is like in that chat pile world, and they're awesome. And then Deceit, who is like a
There were young guns that were they were great. They were significantly younger than all the other bands, so like it was cool to see that and watching them set up and soundcheck. Like you kind of got nervous, like oh, young kids like they don't really know what they're doing, and then they played it and it was like oh wow, these kids are like bringing it. Surprisingly, really good.
But you can tell they were doing it for like the love of it.
Yeah, they had a blast. And it was cool to like see that and not be around a bunch of jaded older fucks from the music scene being like all the time.
Yeah, my who usually does sound, he's not here tonight, but what we've seen is there's usually a younger band opening, and half of them will be like, "We don't need a soundtrack. Like, this is just like what we sound like," and he's just like, "But the sound and everything," and but trust me,
The whole reason behind me.
yeah. And then he's like goes up to everyone else. He's like, "Just trust me afterwards," and like all works out, and like he still is able to like adapt to them and such.
Yeah,
But
sure.
it's like the people that are in it are like, "Yes, trust the sound guy. He's gonna know exactly what to do to make you sound good."
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and they vary venue to venue.
That
For sure.
yeah, that when I first got here, it depended on the show, but we have 2 sound engineers that like run most of the shows around here. That we want, because that is important.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so well, I was gonna say, so then after Thursday, we were working with a friend of ours from
New part.
we were working with a friend of ours from Connecticut in this band called Slugs, who's trying to help us wrap this.
Oh,
Elliot.
yeah, he's awesome.
What a just genuinely nice person who just for out of the goodness of her heart was like, I want to help you guys figure this out. Unfortunately, there was a couple things locked in, then not locked in, so our day kind of fell through yesterday.
Mhm.
So we were like, whatever, we'll just come up. And then Derek, who I've been friendly with for a handful of years, hooked us up with Bad Brgr, and we're actually doing a run with the Graying in July, where we'll be back here at Bad Brgr.
Amazing.
So it was cool that he hooked us up with this and like the whole show and everything.
And the run specifically, like right now, because James and Matt actually just stepped in a few months ago, so we're kind of this is just getting this lineup, like getting its road legs, getting it settled in, and we released 2 singles a couple months ago, kind of, and we have a full length coming like end of this year, beginning of next year, like logistics and all of that being figured out right now. So we're just trying to get in as much as we can until we're ready to drop that. And when we drop that, that's when like the earnest, like, all right, we have a record to support, sort of stuff.
And you'll be comfortable with each other. By
Yeah,
then. Like this allows you to have the time to do so.
Yeah.
Our favorite question to ask on now both podcasts, which of course can be to New York or just local in general, but who are some of your favorite local bands? Each say it, you know.
I mean, New Hampshire, you guys got Gigi Allen. Like that's all you need.
That's it.
I mean, New York, Long Island, like we got a lot. It's like growing up, definitely Glassjaw was number 1. Like the New York Heart, like Madball, Agnostic Front, and then some of the more kind of like obscure earlier like Long Island bands like Mind Over Matter, like Silent Majority, like Vision to the Sword or Subterfuge, stuff like that. And our era, like the entire like mid 2000s, like metalcore scene. Because like the cool thing about Long Island was for the longest time we were a hub, especially in the 2000s, for like that whole like MySpace metalcore world. So every band you could think of during that era, they would always come to Long Island. So I 15 years old, I got to see like I remember the show. It was Darkest Hour, Acacia Strain, I think from a second story window. Dead to Fall.
Yep.
And it was,
That's right.
yeah. It's like a
That's
VFW
when the
hall.
fire alarm got pulled.
Yeah, it's lost. No, I think it's lost. And like I remember that was like 80 people at a VFW hall, and that would like sell out like like whatever these touring festivals are.
Yeah.
So we got like front row seats and a lot of that going on.
Yeah, I was like
Amazing.
15 at that show and seeing Casey String for the first time. I was like jaw on the ground.
Yeah,
I was like, holy fuck.
I was actually thinking about it the other day. My first show was I was 15. I saw not my first, but like my first like legit metalcore show was As I Lay Dying, All That Remains, and Himsa at Mother Moves 2. The singer of As I Lay Dying was not a failed hitman yet. The singer of All That Remains like wasn't like Mr. like Meathead Patriot, but like I remember there was like 60 people there and being like, this is like crazy. And now any one of those bands, maybe not necessarily dying, but any one of those bands that play now, like they'll pack the place out.
Seen those bands on festivals and like House of Blues.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a room like that. It's just unreal.
Yeah, it was a cool time to be like pretty. Even now, Long Island, like it's still popping. It's like
There's a ton of new hardcore coming out of Long Island. Like,
There's Last Laugh.
Yeah, Last
oh,
Laugh.
yeah,
I love
they're,
those
actually,
guys.
they practice down the hall.
their studio's right next door. Yeah,
Small room.
we run into them all the time at this little local bar where I live.
Yeah, nice dudes.
That's awesome.
Standstill is blowing up.
Yes,
Koyo kind of just pops up out of nowhere, and they took over Long Island.
I mean, no, they're like Stony Brook kids, so we're
Yeah.
a little bit more like Nassau, Suffolk border. They've been kind of doing it for a minute. They've just been a little bit further east of us.
But there's like especially like the hardcore. We're like we kind of get put on weird bills where it's like it's either like beatdown shows or like hardcore shows. We're not really either both those. We're like a little bit of like metal, hardcore, punk stuff going on. So we get mixed around.
Next
But
Bill's
like
my favorite.
but Long Island has like right now, especially like in the younger, like a little bit of younger kids than us. Like it's all this new wave of like hardcore. And the shows are popping off.
No, but it's cool to see because I remember for like the 2010s, it was a huge lull where it was like the only people that were going to shows were like in their 20s and like early 30s, and like young kids weren't showing up. And now we're seeing it like I play in another band also that's been going for like 20 years, and like you see like young kids going to their shows, and then like we played with another band at Sand City a few months ago. They like late teens, and they're covering Unbroken Wings, and every kid's going nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the youth is all right. We're gonna be good.
Yeah, I've been listening to like, as far as not like local bands, New York, Miracle Blood.
Miracle is great.
Oh yeah.
I think Sabella is from Florida. They're awesome. We got like Ben out of New York City, who we play with a lot.
Yeah.
They're Queens-based.
Like, you gotta shout out God's Eyes.
Especially our
Guys,
guys.
that's for sure.
Yeah.
Those are our boys.
They're on a show with Derek, I think.
Yep, in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Billy and Lowtide that are opening that. They're too insane.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like brother bands. Like their guitar player Brett was in our band for a little bit, and we kind of still like we toured together. We started around the same time, and we kind of always just like helped each other out.
Yeah, we've been friends with those guys for a long time.
So we have Spirit Killer.
Spirit Killer.
Chuck. Sunflower.
Yeah.
Those dudes.
Yeah, Sunflower's looking for a new guitar. So if anyone can shred a guitar, hit up Sunflower.
Local bands like Farsight.
Farsight's insane. I'm trying to get them up here like bad.
Great band. Three Sisters good. I fuck with Three Sister hard. My boy Matt's band Shoots 5. They're sick. Good beat down hardcore band from Queens.
Awesome.
So Shoot the 5 shows are reckless.
Yeah. They're trash cans getting thrown. Yeah. Great time.
And everyone's having like a good time. I'm like, everyone's getting injured, but you're all like smiling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like, and that's like the fine line of crowd killing. Shane, my friend who I brought up before, we went to a show in Boston, his first outside of Bad Brgr, and there was just like one crowd killer that took him, and he was just like punching back, and he just like got up and he's like, "What am I gonna do?" and just like kept going.
Yeah.
And that's like the kind of mentality you gotta have for it, but there's still like that line.
Yeah.
So they left that I drove to see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
See, those are our boys as well.
Yeah.
So we're playing with them for years.
Great melodic hardcore band.
Oh,
Yeah, they're awesome.
I think Carniversal.
I remember
That's the thing is there's so many great bands on the island. It's hard to really just pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like,
Band,
It's always popular.
every time you play a show there, it's legit like fuck that band band's good. That band's good.
Like, no, I always said that, like, you could just go to Lindenhurst and just stand on the corner of Wellwood and Railroad Avenue, throw a frisbee, and you're hitting somebody that's in like a sick band.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Or just go to the AMH,
Yeah.
like on a Friday or Saturday night brand.
It's literally like stacked by everybody. That
Yeah.
like Tom used to be in Bob the music industry. Like, Chris is in Eternal Bleeding, Without Remorse. So it's like
Sleeping place there.
well, Sal used
Sal-
to Sal used to own it when it was Broadway.
Yeah.
Still keeping venues alive. Whoever owns it is fine.
That venue actually, Amityville Music Hall, it started as this like sketchy hole in the wall in Amityville. That, like they used to allow all of us to do all ages shows there, which was crazy looking back at the bar. Because it would be like, nighttime shows, like doors 7 p.m. and it was a bar, so how are you making money?
Yeah.
But they would let us play shows. I don't know what happened with the old owner, but like people from our scene just started cycling in and out of ownership. And then established it to be like Amityville Music Hall, and then recently they renovated it, turned it into this huge, beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice now.
Yeah, so it's like it's a staple of our little scene down there.
That makes sense. Yeah, Traders and Resistor are playing their
Yep.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
Play with Traders many times. My other band.
we played with Resistor a few times when we were like starting out. It's been a while though.
I saw them randomly, like small bar and everything. They were just at Bad Brgr not too long ago, and then my friend and I are going to drive to Jersey to Dingbats to see them with them.
Oh,
Also,
sick.
drive that there itself on the show too.
Nice.
Dingbats is a cool venue. Dingbats is very controversial for a couple of years because like there were definitely bookers in and out of there for a while that were like booking like what do you call it, like the white power black metal bands and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But like evidently like there was some shift where the guy that was handling it got booted out and now they're like they're okay again. So I think Dingbats is safe again.
Yeah, I went there back in last February. I was there for another Selling Law show.
Yeah.
Cropsy, who is about to play here like next
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, they're-
wicked sick.
They're
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Question 4: what is the favorite show that you've ever played?
Mm.
Like in Boar.
It could be in general.
I mean, we
That
played.
makes you think back
Yeah.
further, yeah.
Sid and I, we got in our old band Mutiny Bro, we got to play with 68, which was like Josh Goggin is a huge influence for me as being a vocalist. And it was a bittersweet night because the show was amazing. I got to play with 68, and like it was a lot of work to get us on the show because at first the promoter was like, "Absolutely not! Like you're just some local band, no way." And I just hounded him every day. I'm like, "Let us on this show, let us on this show," sending him everything, whatever. And finally he was like, "Fine, you can open, whatever." So I got to meet Josh, and I kind of fanboyed out a little bit. I didn't know what to do. Like I totally panicked, and I just kind of regurgitated onto him. And he was like, "Okay, cool, man." And then at the end of the night, I went back up to him and just basically said the same shit over again. And he looked me dead in the eye and he goes, "Oh, you again?" And it was just like, "Oh no, I did the thing," and like kind of left with my tail between my legs. But like, it was just such a surreal experience to like get to be there and like, I don't know if you've ever seen 68 live. They just have this booming presence about them. And that's probably one of like the standouts.
That was a good one. In our old band, Mutiny Bro, we played with Listener, Birds and Row.
Oh, that was
another good one. I think 4 is open for the 68 show. That was cool.
Yeah, they were.
Amityville Music Hall is great sound. As far as Boar goes,
I gotta say one thing.
That was awesome.
yeah,
It was like we never played North Carolina before, so it was our first time down there. It was a 3-day fest, and we, like, playing early in the day, zero anticipation of anyone coming and see us. And then like I think we played at like 2 p.m., 3
Something
p.m. or
like
something
that,
like that. And like not only did the kids show up, but they were killing each other.
Yeah.
And I used to do this thing for a while during our last song where I would throw the mic on the ground and then just like dive bomb after it with my guitar in hand, like like a grenade.
Mhm.
And everyone was so nice that when I did that, they thought that I genuinely fell and hurt myself. So they were trying to help me up, and as they're helping me up, they're tangling me up in my guitar cable. So I'm like this big, 6-foot Polish shish kebab. They end up like in all of this. I end up falling off the stage, and I took a chunk out of my guitar headstock. But it was fun. It was great. It was a fun show.
They cared. That's what matters.
Yeah, that whole trip was awesome. That was a really fun show.
But the All Else Failed show.
No, the All Else
That
Failed was awesome.
around that latest.
Yeah, we got to play with All Else Failed, and we got to play St. Vitus twice. But that's like, like bucket list stuff that we got to achieve.
That was cool. Black Matter Device, Spirit Killer. Was such a cool book.
Yeah.
Right before Christmas.
Yeah.
I play in Dr. Acula also. And one of my first like big shows with them was at No Sleep Fest in Texas. And I think that's like the first. The sound itself was terrible. Like the PA blew like the second band into the fest. No one bothered replacing it. So the sound, and it was in this giant brewery. So the sound for everything was just couldn't hear anything. But it was the first time that I ever played a show, and I'm watching kids get on the stage on my side and just do like front flips, taking out entire like groups of kids. And it was like, I think I might have to move my pedal board.
And that's like at that age, like I back in January tore something in my knee. I still need to get the MRI. It's fine, but like at that time, like they can do all that and still like next day walk it off.
Yeah. It was the craziest thing, and like, I didn't understand. Like I'm watching the kids that are getting front flipped into, and it's like time slows down. You see all of them like, I'm in danger, but this is great. Like it's just you're about to catch a heel right in the face coming down, but everyone's having fun.
One of my favorite shows that I've ever played, with my old band, Give Me the Loot. I played with Volumes and Orange Body.
That's awesome.
That Revolution. That was fun.
Okay.
That was a great show.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was sick, like playing drums and then looking over and seeing like Mike Terry and Bob. He said like fucking shit. Yeah, it was really good. With Blur, I mean, every show so far has been a blast. So
I mean, we played the one at what was it? Whiskey Rock.
Whiskey Rocks.
Oh, God.
Whiskey Rocks.
So you were talking about like great sound guys and how valuable they could be. This one is the exact opposite. We got our levels on stage, and the guy just kept on turn the guitars down, turn the bass down. It was like, yo, the amps are off. Like, it can't go any lower than this.
It wasn't even like turn them down. It was like change your tone settings. So, and he's like, I'll do it in the board, and I don't like those kinds of things.
The first time in the years that I know you, see you get so mad. Like,
So they're all setting up, and I hear the guy do it, and I'm in the bathroom, and I just kind of beeline out of the bathroom. I'm like, no! I'm like, no one listen to what that guy said. And he's yelling at us. I'm like, get out of here.
They started, like, they had, like, the talk back behind, like, at the front of the house. This is how ridiculous it is. This is like a hole-in-the-wall shithole bar, but they had, like, the front of house booth. It's like, you don't need that. You could have, like, spent that money on, like, making this place better.
Yeah.
But he, like, literally while we're playing, that we hear them in the monitors, turn the bass down, turn it down.
Mid-song.
Like the whole
I
time.
heard it come through my monitor.
Yeah.
Apparently there was a girl next to him and they were both simultaneously like, oh, it's on.
Yeah.
I didn't hear him or care, I guess.
And all the people like watching the show were like, don't do anything different. Like, it's fine. Like, and I just kept saying, the crowd says no. Like, leave it alone. Like, we're doing the thing. We're halfway through the set. Just let us
You
finish.
went into the mic and we're like, we're a fucking hardcore band. No.
And like, I don't do shit like that ever.
But it's like, why are you
But,
talking? It's like of all times.
He made me, it just really got on. And then the next day I was like, man, I kind of fucking rode that guy hard. And someone was like, no, you didn't. And I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah. That was one of the best crowd participations I've ever seen. OBS that like, should we turn down?
No.
Yeah.
Like 8 years earlier, though, even dirtier bar.
Oh,
Sinclair's.
Oh.
Same bar.
A state.
Brendan and I played with 2 Man Advantage there.
Yeah.
That was a cool
yeah.
show.
That was a fun show. That
Yeah.
band is insane.
It was a good moment.
Sinclair's, they had fun shows back in the day, but it was just like you can have a sick collection of bands playing in a porta potty, but at the end of the day, you're still in a porta potty.
Yeah.
So it did like.
Yeah, but Chips Air like was cool like that. Where like it could be a band like Mutiny Abroad, which was like a very similar band like this metal-y kind of stuff, and then 2 Man Advantage was like punk rock, beer guzzling, hockey players, and then like an acoustic act, and like people will be like, "This is sick."
They used to do the punk rock barbecue there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those were wild.
Yeah.
And it's kind of getting back there in Long Island. Like it got really clicky for a little bit. It was like only this and then only this, and now again like it's nice to see the camaraderie between all different bands.
Not all the same
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
just, like things together.
Yeah.
Because you won't discover like that.
Yeah.
So
Right, yeah.
there's constantly things popping up like you're not getting to.
Yeah, yeah.
Once you kind
Yeah, for sure.
Keep it fresh.
of- Have you guys played like the Poughkeepsie area at all, or heard of
No.
Treason and Ruckus in that area?
No, every time we try to come upstate, something falls through, and we would end up either going to somewhere like like Massachusetts or like Providence or something like that. But we want to play upstate. We actually on this run we reached out to Jeff from Sunflower because he booked shows up in Utica. So we were trying to, because Jealous Mind actually, I think last night they played in Utica. So we were
Or no more youth. I think.
No.
Yeah.
Was it over?
No more youth. Yeah.
Yes.
We were trying to look up some of the bands tonight because our date fell through, so we're kind of scrambling.
Yes.
But Jeff from Sunflower was setting up the show. It's like,
Yeah.
sorry, dude, the bill's fault. We can't fit you on. Kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's just like a harsh reality, like setting up tours. I remember it used to be like, yeah, give yourself like 3-4 months notice, you figure something out. Like now you need like 6 to 8 months in advance to get like a solid run locked in.
Exactly. Yeah, just like for every day and everything. That's the venue I talked about. Like I want to attempt to do like a weekend between like Bad Brgr, like New York, and then something in the middle of just like setting it up with bands, but getting it to align like exactly that.
Yeah.
Like one with the bands like you want it to be and such, but then two like venues and such.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of work that goes into it.
Oh yeah. I used to own a booking company a handful of years ago with my wife and a collector of our friends, and it was insane the amount of work. So much fun. Where like most of us that owned it, we're all working musicians and stuff like that. By the time we were done, like all of us, like I don't even want to play music anymore. Like this has drained like any creative like juice out of me whatsoever. And then like I took some time off, and then like I was like, all right, I can't fucking not do this. Like, but I was like, I don't ever have to book a show ever again. Like it's so difficult.
You got the run, you got everything you need.
Yeah.
That was in the fall. I was a school photographer, and everything I was doing was just photography, and I had no time to like to do anything like this. And I was just like, I'm just not gonna do any of it. And then after a day, I was just like, no, I just need to get away from taking children's pictures, and I'm gonna be perfectly fine. And then the creativity and everything.
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah.
That's why I like getting to do the podcast and dabbling in shows, but I like more so with this rather than doing the show.
Yeah.
Are there any like Hudson area bands you would suggest like checking out?
And of course, my friends. Well, I have friends that are in Desperation. My friend Tyler, he's the vocalist of that. He's also the bassist of Means of Survival. Servant of Sorrow, just more in death metal. They have members of. Is it Big Shot? I'll have to double check that, but Servant of Sorrow is like great, like death metal band and everything like that.
Yeah, that's it.
We played with a band called Sick Bay. Do you know them? Sick Bay. Are they like?
They have I have heard of them. I can't, which is funny because this is No Beefs Only Meets by Now. They had a questionable vocalist that is no longer in the band, so now I've heard great things about them. They should be able to play wherever.
He had like a bass with a chain. Or
Yeah,
something.
it was wild.
interesting.
It was interesting.
One of the members was trying to hit on my girlfriend. So I go up, just go up to her and be like, "What are you doing?" And he just immediately unprompted looks at me, goes, "I'm not hitting on your girlfriend." I'm like,
Kind of bring a little attraction to it.
Yeah. I was like, I didn't think you were, but like now.
You're kind of bringing it up. Yeah. And then final question. What do you guys have coming up this year? I know you talked about a little bit of like EP and such, either end of this year or next, but
Yeah, we have a full length that's like it's been finished for like 2 years. We've just been trying to figure out how to put it out, and like we finally, like the pieces are in place. We finally have partnership and distribution. So now it's just like getting ready to like announce everything and roll everything out. And yeah, just put that out, promote it as much as we could, play as many shows as we can, and start writing the next thing, which hopefully by like middle of next year we could probably have at least like the next EP or something like that, at least written, ready to go for sure.
Definitely. Coming back to Bad Brgr in July.
Yeah, we'll be back there with the grain.
Then Massachusetts, right?
Yeah, so
Same run.
so what we're doing, I think with the Grain, it's the Friday in Brooklyn, Saturday.
No.
What?
It got switched. Yeah, I don't remember the exact areas, but it's Rhode Island and here, and I think somewhere else. I don't think we're doing Brooklyn.
No, we're not doing
Brooklyn. I don't think so. Something like that. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And we know how to get up here now, so no more 7.5.
I mean, you're prepared for that.
We're ready.
Take the Van Wyck.
Oh, we'll go through Manhattan.
You live in the city, you should know.
Whoopsie. That was.
I just didn't realize because my line of thinking, I was like, listen, once we're north of Manhattan, like we'll be able to figure everything out. I didn't realize that like every interstate is like here, and then you have this giant web of parkways that you can't bring a trailer on. So yeah.
But you're still here all together, like as a band, so you can get through those tough situations. So that matters.
Minor.
Yeah, we closed on a Dave and Buster's and all as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
I did good enough on tickets last night that I was able to get 10 fake pairs of vampire teams.
Oh, yeah.
Will they be a part of the set tonight?
I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, they're all.
They're all.
You got plenty to go around.
Oh my god.
They're on deck.
We're gonna start throwing out to people.
So, I got 10. I had 280 tickets I swear on.
Oh my
And they were 20 a pop. But
Did anyone get higher than that in tickets?
he got 444. The Angel numbers.
Yeah, I got a pair of vampire.
You got 10, you got one pair.
I got
See, he got the variety. I just got like the one thing.
Yeah, just like that, whatever I got.
He was browsing. He was really browsing.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming up and taking some time to be on the podcast. I can't wait to see you tonight. But we think, nope, it is now Saturday, so that is it for the week. But that is all we have for today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys.